So another fascinating day ahead of us today. The British Business Podcast is delighted to welcome Francis West from
Westec and also Security Everywhere. There's a story behind it.
Fantastic. Thanks ever so much for coming in today and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Where did you start? Where do we go with what it is that you do? Can you explain to our viewers and listeners what it is?
I have been in the IT support game for over 33, 34 years, and so is my business partner as well. He's probably got 1 year on me. So we've always done security, but I would say in the last 3 to 4 years, we can only describe as what we saw as a tsunami of cyber attacks, especially on smaller businesses. So we then decided to set up a separate entity called Security Everywhere that focuses on purely on delivering enterprise level cybersecurity services to the smallest business, whether they got 1, 5, 10 users, because they're the ones who suffer the most when we see these daily cyber attacks, because they don't get the right advice and they don't get the right solutions in place, so they suffer. There's something like 5 million small businesses in the UK, and every 19 seconds they suffer a successful cyber attack. So that's why we do what we do.
And why specifically that area? What made you look into that field? Was there a massive hole? Was it a niche?
No, it's just the more I learn, the more I see that people are vulnerable, especially not just people, especially now with that we've just been through the pandemic. You know, people work from home. They don't see what we see. So, and I think when it comes to COVID, it's probably the closest thing you'll ever can imagine to cybersecurity, because it normally takes you out without you seeing the threat coming in the first place. So, and because we deal with these cases every single day, my team and I mean, to give you an example, in December, the 2-3 weeks leading before Christmas, we dealt with 12 different cases. And if I tell you, 11 of them could have been avoided.
Wow.
If only people knew. And that's why I'm so grateful to do the session with you today, Michael, because, you know, I made it my personal mission to educate and protect at least 1 million people from hackers and scammers by the end of this year. And I think I've probably gone close past that now. But yeah, so we do a lot of talks, a lot of seminars, podcasts, just to constantly educate people, because they don't know what they don't know until they know, which is normally too late. And only in December, I mean, I can go through some of the cases, but the one lady phoned me up, shame, and she's based in Margate. She runs a small restaurant, and she lost £50,000. Email came in, making her think that, her bank account has been compromised. And she clicked on the link. The next minute, she's phoning the number. They convinced her to transfer the £50,000 into a safe account. That money is gone.
You're saying that's avoidable?
Absolutely. And it's avoidable because most people do not have email security in place, because they rely on Office 365 or Google Workspaces or whatever other email systems out there that does email. It doesn't do email security, it does email. And if we look at, from a security threat point of view, last year, 91% of attacks came in by email. That figure has now gone up to 94%. So, and the email door is the only door in a business that you can't close. So you better have very good bouncers, I call them bouncers, in front that can check the traffic both inbound and outbound. And I get very, probably upset. I have very strong opinions around this, because most business owners worldwide, but let's stick to the UK for the purpose today, are making it the staff members' responsibility to decide whether this email that's now sitting in the inbox is an attack on the business and or personal or not. We should remove that risk. You know, I sit on 7 different security panels now, and I was on a call last night with the Home Office, and they asked for my opinion about what we need to do. You know, and at the end of the day, it's all about education first and better systems second.
So let's get this right. What you're saying is business owners and controllers are putting the decision-making of that email coming in and opening it to their team member. And it should be their job at a strategic level to take that possible fatal decision out of their hands.
Absolutely, because I give you an example. What happened last year? This lady, she's been working for this building firm, small building firm, a couple of million turnover, and they have been, she's been with the business for over 30 years. She works in the accounts department. She's in charge of all the payments. Email came in. She clicked on the link, and to give you a short version, she paid an invoice directly into the hacker's bank account for the value of £45,000.
Wow.
Now, when I spoke to the business owner, let's call her Mary, he was blaming Mary. How can she make such a mistake? I'm holding her responsible. And I said, John, I totally disagree with you. He said, why? I said, for two reasons. One, you never gave that lady who's been working for you for 30 years any training on how to avoid it.
Wow.
But better, you had no systems in place to avoid that email getting into her inbox in the first place. And then all of a sudden, he changed his tune. That poor lady I checked, I think a couple of weeks ago, she still hasn't been back to work. She's taken it so personal that she was the one who made that payment, that she hasn't been back to work. So the story gets more interesting. So I deal with a lot of cyber insurance companies. I don't know if you know, but only 9% of UK companies have cyber insurance in place. So I spoke to one of the large cyber insurance companies, and I said, tell me, if a company has cyber insurance with you, do you include a figure or an amount to help Mary get back to work because of the psychological trauma that she suffered because she made a mistake who lost, potentially bringing that building firm to its knees? And the answer was no. Nobody's ever asked me that question before.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? It's just, you can't make this stuff up. So that's why I do what I do.
Speechless. I mean,
I've got so many cases like this. You can't make this stuff up. And this is why, let me give you another example. The problem goes much deeper here. And people say to me, what's the biggest threat to any business in the UK? My answer is as follows. It's either the internal IT department or the external IT company. And people say, what do you mean? I say, where in the word IT support or IT department does it say cybersecurity specialist? And there's our problem, because right now, when I last checked in December, there's something like 12,500 different cybersecurity solutions and services available for a small business.
12,500.
Okay. So how do you know where to even start or to pick?
Yes.
And this is why we do, or why we love doing what we've done, because we've taken all that pain away from the small business and go, here are the 4 top enterprise or 5 enterprise solutions you need to drop your risk by 99+%. And we include a ransom guarantee, which most people don't. Okay?
So can you go through those?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
But I will go through it in a second. I just want to finish my point about the IT companies.
Yes.
And you can't make this stuff up, but I had a case like this only last week. So, and I'm going to try and give you the short version, because you know I can talk for England and South Africa at the same time. What happened was, this IT company's client, which I know the owner very well, was compromised. Email came in and went straight through their email security, executed on this senior partners.
What would compromise mean?
Compromise, I'll tell you now, it resulted into an attack.
Okay.
So in other words, if somebody breaks into your house, that's a compromise.
Yes.
Then they steal something from your house, that's a compromise.
Yes.
So if they never got in, you wouldn't have been compromised.
So somebody was out there going through the IT system into your business.
Yeah.
And in some way try to do something illegal.
Precise, or steal data. Data's the new gold.
Okay.
But let me explain to you the story, because it'll all make sense. Email comes through. Their email security didn't pick up. So their accountant was compromised. The accountant then sent a PDF attachment that was embedded with an attack, malware, okay, that the email security missed. Email then ends up in his inbox. He opens it up. Immediately, the PDF executes the attack, compromise. The computer security never picked up this attack. The next thing that happened was that the email, the attack then launched a new attack that then emailed everybody in his contacts folder, including all his very wealthy clients, with another PDF attached that was also infected. This is how, you see my point about COVID? How it spreads instantly. You can spread an attack to millions of computers.
So I'm sorry to drill down on this.
No.
But that was so frightening what you just said. So it went into his personal contacts.
Yeah.
And sent an email?
Yeah, an email. So in your contacts, so for instance, if you open up your Outlook or your whatever you use for email, right? Yeah. And you go into your contacts folder, how many contacts would you see there right now?
5,000.
5,000, okay, right. So imagine this is what we call potentially a Trojan horse. So it will then go, it runs a little piece of software on the PC or Mac. People think Macs are secure. It's a myth, right? But what it then does, it then starts a loop and it goes through and it emails every single contact, all 5,000 contacts with you. But because they see the email coming from you, they trust you. They go, we know Michael.
Wow.
You know, he does amazing podcasts. We'll open the email. Done.
Wow.
And then that repeats and repeats and repeats. So you see, it's like fire. It just spreads. But now let's get back to the IT company. So I went back to the IT company. I said, listen, you obviously have a problem here now because your customer, my friend, has been compromised. Multiple levels, both on the email side and on the computer, because both your security solutions failed. Otherwise, that email would have never got in. And you wouldn't then send all these other people emails, all right?
Not normally in recent years, would that be termed as a firewall? Is that what people are
That's a great question. Firewalls, how's this for a statement, are dead.
Are they?
Firewall sits at the perimeter. In other words, in the old days, before COVID, great question, sir, by the way. The firewall just protects you from people trying to get into your network, okay? So in other words, imagine your house and imagine a gate and there's a lock on the front gate. That's a firewall. But here's the thing. Okay, here comes the what do you call it? The guy that on his bicycle, postman, and the guy that delivers the Sunday Times, and he throws straight over the firewall, front door. You open up the Sunday Times, you're done.
Yes.
Do you understand the logic now?
Yes.
So email comes in, the email goes straight through the firewall, because remember what I said, the firewall door, the email door you can never close.
Yes.
There are 4 doors. There are actually 65,000 doors, just to be a little bit technical, but there are 4 doors you can't close. And I can get technical. Email door, the web, to surface websites, different types, and then there's 1 or 2 others. Those doors you can never close.
Wow.
So you need to protect them, right? Coming back to the IT company. I then said to the IT company, this is where I'm going to answer your question about the 4 services.
Sure.
I said, obviously, let's call him John, the head of the IT company. You know, lovely guy. But remember, he's an IT support specialist. He's not a cybersecurity specialist. He doesn't even know what to recommend to the customer properly. Obviously, it's failed. Let's remember that fact. I then said to him, John, we need to implement much better security for all his computers, and we need to implement, obviously, much better email security. Email security is going to cost him £9.47 a month per mailbox. He said, no problem. I see value in that. I'm going to recommend that to the customer. Done. He's actually placing the order today. On the computer side, the computer security side, now bear in mind, we've got a team of 250 security specialists, plus we include a ransom guarantee of up to £800,000 per site, depending on how many computers somebody has, right?
What does that mean? Ransom guarantee?
Ransom guarantee. So if you see a lot of, ransom attacks have increased, but I'm trying to remember the figures since COVID started it's in the hundreds of percent. So
somebody's asking for money.
Yeah.
And if you don't give me the money, I'm going to do X.
Okay, so let me give you a non-technical answer of a ransom attack. There are multiple types, but let's stick with 2 types. One, I go onto your computer, I steal your client's data. I'll phone you or I'll email you and say, listen, so by the way, we had this with a small accountancy firm, only 5 users. I'm going to start phoning your customers and tell them that I got your data from the accountancy firm. If you don't pay me half a Bitcoin or whatever.
Wow.
Now, bearing in mind, I work with probably 6 or 7 of the cyber police units around the country. They will not even phone you back if you've lost less than 10K. You won't even get a phone call back, right? So they know that they keep the ransom payments under 10K. You can't touch them. So the point there is, so that's the first ransom, which is kind of really annoying. And if you look at the latest stats released yesterday, people actually are paying less ransom. But some insurance policies now gives you the money to pay the ransom, which I disagree with. The second ransom is much worse, and we deal with these often, where they'll go in. Now, bearing in mind, here's some stats for you. In the UK, on average, it takes 237 days before somebody's even finding out that hackers are currently on their systems. So they're on there monitoring, managing, stealing data.
So nearly a year.
For all this, well, it's about 6 months, to be exact.
Wow.
237, a little bit more. Where people have complete no visibility. Why? Because normal antivirus solutions cannot detect unknown threats. It doesn't detect behavior. You need a solution that can detect behavior. But now what they do is they encrypt all the files, even your backups. They'll encrypt your backups so you can't even recover from your backups. They'll even encrypt all your data you've got stored in 365 or G Suite, which means at one point they flick a switch, and I've seen this with my own eyes. It's like fire when it spreads. Everybody comes to a standstill. You can't access. It happened to the NHS. It happens to so many countries all the time. That's what I call a proper ransom, where you can't move, because then what happens, they leave you a lovely little notepad note to say, unless you pay me 2 or 3 Bitcoin, buy in 7 days, or sometimes they put a nice little image on all your computers. Okay, it's completely locked down now with a little counter, and unless you give us X amount of Bitcoin, we will either destroy all your data, or even better, we'll sell it to your competitors.
Wow.
Now, let me give you an example. So Zoom, everybody uses Zoom, right?
Yes.
Now Zoom, a couple of years ago, lost 500,000 records, usernames and passwords. That you can now buy on the dark web for 1 penny per record. And if you want to know what the dark web is, that's where you buy child pornography, AK-47s, any drug of choice, and have it delivered to you this afternoon. Wow. All right? And that's why, for me, when I talk about cybersecurity, if you think about why do people live longer, they live longer because of early detection.
Yes.
Cybersecurity works on the exact same principles. If we have the right systems in place, we can detect the threat, we can kill the threat, we can make changes to stop it from happening again. Make sense?
So much more protection.
Yeah. So, and that brings me back to the dark web. Most people do not even know that their data is for sale on the dark web. So if you don't have a monitoring system in place, like one of the services we offer is a enterprise password manager.
And I guess, sorry to go back to this, I guess dark web, for people out there who've never heard of it, is like the black market.
Yeah, very similar. In the old days, it was actually used for a good thing, but nowadays they use it as a trading platform for data that's been stolen. Illegal
things.
And mostly, and you can buy whatever you like, and there's different variations. So for instance, a username password is 1 penny. I've got I'm just trying to remember if I don't have it with me. I've got the latest 2022 sliding scale for what your data is worth, whether it's a credit card, whether it's a LinkedIn account, whether it's a bank account. There's different levels of how much you have to pay to get the record. But my point is, people don't even know this stuff is for sale. No. And the problem there then becomes, so many people are using the same password for their Zoom account, their Twitter account. Twitter's now lost 400 million something. Their ring.com, their baby alarm, their email address, or their email account. Did you see how the problem explodes instantly? Because people are lazy. They use the same password for multiple places. Worse, they find setting up multi-factor or two-factor authentication a pain in the bum.
What does that mean, two-factor authentication?
Great question. You're using a bank right now, right?
Yes.
How many pieces of information do you need to log onto your bank?
I think 3.
Yes, it is 3. your username, your password, and then a code. That code normally only lasts for about 30 seconds. Do you agree?
Yes.
Exactly. That third thing is called multi or two-factor authentication.
Okay.
So it's something you know and
Yes.
something you have. You know your username, you know your password, but you do not have
that code.
So remember that little card holder? You
Yes.
stuck your card
Yes.
in, it came up with a number. What's happened now? Simply it's moved to a app on the phone.
Okay.
We normally recommend that you store that multi-factor authentication inside the password manager that we recommend.
But that's the bank that drives us in that direction, isn't it? They're coming up with ways to help us, so we think.
Yeah. Who?
The bank or saying to the customer, you have to have this new app.
Yeah.
It used to be this card reader. It's now the app. So are you saying that they are wrong, or we need to listen to them?
100%, because you asked me what is multi or two-factor authentication, and I'm telling you the bank story, because banks have been doing this for many years now, and they're enforcing the process.
Okay.
And in there lies the good thing about all of this. They are saying to the user or to the person who banks for them, unless you have this code, two-factor, multi-factor code, you cannot log onto your bank account. Okay. So they've added extra layers of security
to protect us. Now, there are ways around it, but it's not for the average person, the man in the street. Remember, again, the whole thing about cybersecurity for me is all you have to do is to outrun. You know when the lion is chasing you? You've got to just outrun the guy behind you. Yes.
And this works on the same model for me. If you put multiple layers around yourself as a person, as a business, they'll go somewhere else. Simple as that.
At this point, can you tell our listeners and viewers, because at this point, with their pads and paper, how do they get hold of you? How can they contact you?
Okay, so there are many different ways. So I post every single day on LinkedIn. So Francis West, you'll find me there. And you'll see all my posts on cybersecurity and just teaching people. That's one way. The other way is to email me, which is francis.w with an I at security-everywhere.com.
Fantastic.
And that's the quickest way. Or my other company, Westtech, is francis.w at westek.co.uk. That's the IT support side. But Security Aware is the one where we focus on cybersecurity. That's the easiest way. Or my office phone number is +44 203 195 0555.
Thank you for doing that. And I think that there will be a lot of people out there today who will be listening to this, who will be contacting you, because I'm scared. What you've told me already, I'm very scared about my business and about my data and about my emails and the ability for these people to hack. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Hacking.
But Michael, here's the thing, right? There are so many uncertainties in the world right now. This is one thing that we can fix.
So it's that easy to fix.
Because we've been doing it for 3-4 years now. And that's why when I sit on all these panels, it frustrates me because they talk, but they don't show people how to fix the problem.
Okay.
If you do the basics, in other words, number one, you implement, you start using Enterprise Password Manager. You never reuse the same password. You start using, a computer security solution that will actually detect unknown threats. And also that's backed by a ransom guarantee and a team of people that can protect you 24/7 anywhere in the world. If you start putting in enterprise level email security in place and you take those risks away from the inbox and you back everything up multiple times a day, just to give you those 4 things per user, we charge £35 a month for. That's it. People spend more on coffee than they spend on protecting themselves. This stuff is easy to fix. It really, really easy to fix. But, every time we get a new client, they're flabbergasted as to that there was actually a solution that could have avoided them from having massive disruption. And the biggest thing we see today is the reputational damage that companies suffer. It's phenomenal, and again, it could have been avoided.
If somebody got in touch with you today, you gave a 5-step plan there. There were 5.
Well, the four key services. So the computer security, password security, email security and back everything up. So we do the full implementation for a very small fee for people as well. And we don't care if you've got 1 user, 100 or 1,000 users. We will help you to onboard all those 4 services, depending on the size, anything from a day to 2-3 months if it's a large company.
So you've dealt with hundreds of clients who have come to you in the beginning and said, we need help. We don't know what we need help with, but we know we need help. So so you'll go right to the beginning and start that process to help them with a service that they can implement into their business that is going to ultimately protect them.
And we give a complete service wrap around it. Plus, we guarantee, especially on the computer security side, or we pay the ransom. If we get it wrong, we pay the ransom. It's that simple. One of my favorite sayings.
That's a guarantee.
That's a guarantee. Yeah.
Wow.
And I always say to people, you can click on whatever you like, and we will catch you when you fall.
That's pretty good guarantee.
And you know, if I have the time, I'll tell you about something that happened to me the other day. I'm sitting in a meeting, and there were 25 other IT company owners there. And this guy, let's call him John, and he runs quite a large company, 6-7 million turnover company. And he was sitting there with these marketing ladies. She was nice as well. And I said to him, John, tell me honestly, will you click on any link that comes into your inbox and extract any file that comes into your inbox, knowing that this potentially could completely blow up your entire network? And you could see his face, and he's trying to answer me because he really wanted to say yes, but in the end he said no. And I said, that's interesting, John. I said, I've done it. So my accountant sent me this true story last October, November. He sent me an email. He said, Francis, please, I'm not sure about this email. I just want you to triple check it. I said, okay, send it to me. So what we then did was we extracted the file. It's a VB script. I'm getting a bit complicated now, or technical. But I ran the code knowing that this is going to end up in an attack because it was so deliberate that this was an attack, right?
So what you're saying there, I think, is that you put that particular email into like a quarantine.
No,
not
didn't
even
need
that.
to. No, I did it. I did it completely open because I wanted to prove to myself that we are currently running the best cybersecurity service that money can buy.
Wow.
So I did it on purpose. So I opened the file, I ran the file, all of a sudden my machine shuts down. And I get a call from our security operations center. They said, Francis, did you do that on purpose? I said, yes, I did. Because I thought, as the owner and the CEO of the business, if I can't be 100% confident that I rely on my own recommended security service, how could I possibly recommend it to somebody else?
Yes.
And I've got a whole case study and the email that followed up and what we did, and that it was eliminated in 3 seconds, which I knew would happen. It's just taken out, bang. But
okay.
And we got a whole. So it was nice to be able to prove to anybody that.
So you put yourself in the customer's shoes.
Yeah.
You opened it.
Yeah.
And 3 seconds later,
gone. Eliminated.
Because of your system.
Yeah, but because of the computer security that we use. It was just phenomenal. It's just the best. I would never touch another machine on the planet unless I'm running this solution ever again. Unless somebody out there gets better.
Okay.
I mean, the solution that we use is also used by Barclays, NASDAQ, Netflix, TGI Fridays, Aston Martin. So, and that's our job as a business, is to go and find enterprise level solutions and give it to the small business. Because you can go direct, but guess what? You'll have to buy 3,000 licenses as a minimum for computer security. And they'll only...
just sorry, I keep butting in, but
no, go for it.
So 3,000 licenses means each individual person is a seat.
Yeah, correct.
The person's computer
is one.
So that might be my staff team member.
That's one computer. If you go directly to our computer security provider, you will have to buy a minimum of 6. They only deal with the big boys.
Okay.
So you'll have to buy a minimum of 3,000. We will provide a single license on it. That's one thing I haven't mentioned yet. We do all our contracts on a 30-day rolling contract.
So you can stop it at any time.
So you can stop whenever you like.
Why would you? But that's a different
people
story.
don't, but I'm just saying. So we don't tie people. We give them the best solution
Sure.
money can buy on a 30-day rolling contract. If you don't want it, and they can pick and choose. If they just want the one solution, they don't want the rest, it's fine. I'm okay. If you want to leave yourself exposed, it's okay.
Yeah.
And most people don't. But
that's the ultimate acid test, isn't it?
It is. But this is another reason why for us it was important. So why we think it's unfair that the big boys can have enterprise level solutions or services and the small companies can't, and we've now fixed that problem.
Okay. Wow, it's a minefield. I know it's a pun, but it is a minefield. Isn't it?
It is when you do not know what you're doing.
Yes.
Then it's really. I find it. That's why I get passionate about it, because I get really sad when every time I get a new call. And I know we could have avoided it. I always say to people, we can't fix the past, but we can fix the future.
When people listen to our podcast, they do so because they're looking for the reason why that person's come on the podcast and the reason why they've gone into business in the first place. It's very clear with you.
Yeah.
Your passion is just hammering through.
I love helping people.
Yeah,
That's it,
but the solution that you've given of a 30-day rolling contract is you're putting your money where your mouth is. You're saying to people, guys, we can help you.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, then you can leave.
Yeah.
And that's okay too. So, Francis, you have something quite unique. You have a cyber quiz that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I tell you what, a lot of people come to us and they say Francis, which areas do we need to focus on first? And I said, you know what? Great question. So what we've done with, again, years of experience, we've put together a quiz that's on our website, on the security-everywhere.com website, which you can fill in. It takes you 3 minutes to fill in. There are 25 questions, so we cover 5 key areas within the business. That if you do that, it spits out a beautiful graph or report to tell you exactly which areas you need to focus on first, number one. And number two, lots of advice, free advice on how to fix the problem.
Can you say that again, where they get that from?
So you can get the quiz directly off our website. It's on the front page at the moment, and it's security-everywhere.com.
Fantastic, thank you.
And it takes 3 minutes, but we've had so many people, and even we've got some of the cyber police units around the country are now using that as a yardstick to educate people very quickly as to which areas. And it's frightening because people then all of a sudden they get a visual report, and there's no charge. It's free to do, of course.
So that visual report will give them answers to the questions or a report stating how vulnerable they are?
Both.
Both.
Because it shows you for each 5 sections, it shows me my password security, I'm sitting at 10%. It should be at 80, 90.
Okay.
My mobile security or mobile devices, I'm sitting at, at 35%. So based on your answers, we give you a report. And then based on your report, we give you recommendations per category.
Very simple, but very effective.
Absolutely. And we're constantly improving it. But, it's just a lovely way for people without any pressure to come and we don't care. If you buy from us, great. If not, at least you know where you need to go back and focus on.
I know this afternoon, when we finish this series, that's one of the first things I'll be doing.
Yeah.
Because I'm frightened.
Don't be frightened. This is fix the problem.
But the good news is that you've come in today and you've given me a lot of confidence, and I know that people will be out there thinking, let me go to that site, let me do that quiz, let me find out where I am, and then hopefully give you a call.
Yeah. And I offer a 15-minute call for everybody if they just want to have a chat and see which area. Again, the button is on the quiz. Click on the button, book a call in my diary, no charge, and I just help you.
Brilliant. So if I was somebody out there and I've clicked on that quiz and I've got that report, are there other ways for me to interact with you? Do you do webinars and seminars?
Absolutely, Michael. I thought you were never going to ask the question. So last year we did a lot of stuff on Clubhouse every Friday. But what we're going to do now in LinkedIn, I've got something like 27,000 followers on LinkedIn, right? So,
wow.
And a lot of businesses in LinkedIn where they need help and advice. So we've decided to do the last Thursday of the month, I can't remember which. I'll publish it online. It's between 5 and 6 p.m. every last Thursday of the month. We're going to do come and ask us anything about cybersecurity. So
that will be this week, actually.
Yeah, that's right. No, we're starting next month. Sorry, we're first one starting in February.
Okay.
The other thing as well, which I'd like to make people aware of, that every Thursday I actually do a video post. So tomorrow I'm doing it again, and I answer simple questions or any questions that people have around cybersecurity. So please come and follow me on LinkedIn and listen to my Thursday videos, because I answer questions that will help people. And then please comment and share.
Francis, I could be here all day listening to your education, your insight. It's fascinating to help us. You're helping us, and long may that continue. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming in today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. It was great fun.
Fantastic. Until next time.